Hello and welcome to a Homespun house. My name is Molly and thank you so much for joining me today. I am the owner of a homespun house where I sell hand-dyed yarn and kits and other just lovely goodies that I really enjoy putting for all of you together. Today I'm here to sit and relax, drink a bit of coffee, which I absolutely love. What about you guys? Do you guys like coffee? Tea, something fizzy like a cola or seltzer water or water? What do you guys enjoy drinking when you're knitting, when you wake up in the morning? What's your kind of pick me up when you guys are getting up and out of bed? Mine is definitely a cold cup of water and a tasty, hot, warm cup of coffee, preferably out of a handmade mug. I don't know about you guys either, but I love drinking and eating off of handmade pottery. I just love it. And I also have with me some very tasty butterscotch chocolate chip oatmeal cookies. So I'm here to talk with you guys about not what I'm drinking, not what I'm using for my drinks and snacks, but about what I have been knitting this past week. As you guys will see, I'm wearing my Soldotna crop. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. And I've knit one of her patterns before. I was just about to say I haven't knit a pattern of hers before, but I have knit one quite a while back. It was her Little Cabins pullover, and I knit that out of chunky yarn. But this is her Soldotna crop, as I said. It is a short-sleeved cropped sweater pattern, and I don't know about you guys, but I do not see myself wearing a short-sleeved sweater at all. I don't know, but I love this sweater. I've seen it so many times. Here's a little bit better look. I'll put my hair back a little. But it's absolutely gorgeous. And I can't tell you how much fun this sweater was to make. I made it out of our non-superwash merino DK. I used, this is Double Dare for this pinky color. And then the speckled tonal that I used is our Wildflower colorway. I love this color so much, and I still don't have the mittens here. Here's the video of the mittens. And I used leftovers and ended up actually having to dye 3 more skeins for to finish this pullover. So it was all pretty much knit up using scraps except for those 3 skeins of Wildflower. This beautiful kind of mustardy yellow is our Barley colorway. And then the cream is our Fresh Sheets, and that's all non-superwash DK. So the yoke was knit so quickly. I loved knitting the sweater so much. And the sweater actually calls for those little snowflakes, as I mentioned in the last podcast, that I completely omitted just simply because this yarn is so speckled. And I think that was definitely the best decision I could have made for this sweater. As far as the arms go, I picked up exactly as my size called for, and I just knit straight. Once I got to the sleeve, I did the color work that should have been at the top of the arm, and I decreased by knitting 2 stitches, knitting 2 together, knitting 2 stitches, knitting 2 together. And that gave me a pretty nice sleeve. Now, I didn't want it to be a very tight sleeve. Like, I knit a lot of my pullovers, but this pullover, when I knit it, I just decided I wanted it to be quite oversized, which most of my pullovers are, and with long sleeves. I generally knit my pullovers to have kind of like a bracelet length sleeve, so it might go up to here, maybe here, not necessarily a 3/4 sleeve, somewhere in between a 3/4 and a wrist length. But this one I decided I wanted to go all the way up to my knuckles. And I'm really happy with that. It feels so comfortable. And again, our DK weight non-superwash yarn is pure heaven. My mom has a sweater knit out of this base, and she said It feels like the most comfy sweatshirt you could possibly wear. And she wears her sweaters in the summer just because it's so breathable. A non-superwash yarn in general, especially if it's something super soft like a merino. So I absolutely love this. I am so happy with it. I honestly haven't even blocked it yet, but I'm definitely going to, just because there are some certain sections like this one here that I know could lay a lot more flat and nicely if it were to be blocked. Same with these little sections up here around my arm. I just think for color work, blocking makes everything magical. Now you want to be sure that if you are knitting with a superwash yarn, you take into consideration the length of your garment, be it sleeves or body, because from my own experience, superwash yarn grows quite extensively. So I know this isn't going to grow. I'm super happy with the length. And I definitely will be blocking the entire sweater. So have you guys knit a Soldotna? Have you guys knit one of Caitlin Hunter's patterns? I'm very curious. And because I loved this pattern so much, I'm casting on, yes, you guessed it, another one. As you saw at the beginning of this podcast, a little look into some of our Patreon vlogs, my parents have just visited us from America the past 2 weeks. In fact, they left this morning, which sucks. So I'm making myself happy by, as I said, enjoying some coffee, cookies, and chatting with you guys and sharing with you everything that I've been loving knitting and working on. And while my mom was here, she chose a project that she would love for me to work on and knit for her. And she chose a Soldotna crop, knit just like mine with a sweater, not cropped, and sleeves. And she likes her sleeves a bit longer than mine, so I'll probably knit hers up to my fingertips. For her main color, she chose Avada Kedavra. I think this will be so pretty. And then for where I have the pink, she chose Hopscotch. Where I have the barley, she chose Steel. And then where I have fresh sheets, she chose fresh sheets as well. I think this is going to make a stunning Soldotna. How am I going to be able to give it away? I'm knitting it on our non-superwash DK just like I did this one, and I'm very excited to get this yarn dyed up. I don't have any of the Avada Kedavra on our non-superwash DK, so this will be one that gets cast on in a little. This will be one that gets cast on, I'm not sure. It's not my first priority because don't think I forgot about my dad while my parents were here. He also chose a shawl and matching hat that he would like me to knit for him. I'll share that with you guys once I get it cast on, but I have the yarn all drying and I'm thinking it's something that I'm going to be casting on today. So it's a 2-colored shawl and I'm knitting it using our favorite book and blackberry jam colorway. So it's orange and purples. I think that will be a really fun change up of color. All right, so now that we've got my sweater and some projects for my parents covered, I'm going to share with you some things that I have finished. Now, one of these is one that you will have seen 2 weeks ago, and that is the leg warmers for my littlest's birthday coming up. I knit these out of a Yarn Club colorway that we had 3 years ago, but it's very, very similar to our Sugared Sweeties colorway, and I knit these on our gold stellina base, which is just absolutely shimmery, beautiful, and it's so much fun to knit with. I ended up using the entire skein. I had a little ball after I finished these, and she has a little Waldorf doll that she loves and plays with all of the time. I made it for her. I don't even remember. But anyway, I decided that I would knit her a little skirt. Her doll, obviously. This is not going to fit my little one. This is a skirt for her doll. And I used the leftovers of that colorway along with Jello, which is her absolute favorite colorway that we have. And I knit so many things for her using this colorway. In fact, I'm going to use the leftovers of this one to knit a matching hat for her doll that looks just like a hat that she wears, which I unfortunately don't have with me because she wears it every single day. And it is an Oslo hat by Petite Knit. And the main color of the hat is Jello. And then she has her rim is out of our Ditzy colorway, which is kind of similar to this. It's a really pretty, really light turquoise aqua shade of blue. So her doll will have an exact replica of that hat. And I've knit so many of these. These are the hats that I spoke about in the last podcast. And I think about using some of my scrap yarn because I'm really trying to work through that to just make some more of these. Because when my parents were here, they didn't have hats and they asked, could we wear one of your hats? And I feel like as a knitter, other people probably just assume that you have a ton of hats. And I do have a ton of shawls, maybe some hand warmers, shawls. I have so many shawls, but hats have never been something that I've knit a lot of. I had tried knitting hats so many times. I don't know, maybe in the first 10 years that I was knitting, and I could never knit a hat that fit nicely or a way that I liked it. And anytime I would knit hats for someone, they would always turn out strange. They'd be too small, too short. And I realized that the person that I knit them for didn't really like it. I didn't really like any hats that I knit for myself. And then this pattern came along and I absolutely love it. So I could see just knitting and having a few of these at home. By a few, I mean 2 extras, maybe. I think that's kind of a nice number. If a friend's over, if my parents are here again. I think just to have in general would be really nice. So Ruby's dolly will be getting a little Oslo hat to wear. Even though summer's coming, dollies still get cold sometimes. And I know Ruby will love having a matching hat for her doll. So that will be a lot of fun. That will definitely be finished the next time you see me because her birthday is soon. And I just improvised this. I think I cast on a 2mm needle. I think I cast on 52 stitches. And then I just increased by knitting 2 yarn over all around. And then I knit all of the yarn overs through the back loop and just knit straight until I ran out of this club yarn. I had a phase where I was knitting a ton of these everything November mitts or November mitts, November everyday mitts. Denise from Earth Tones Girl talked about these ages ago on her podcast. I immediately bought the pattern and cast on, I don't know how many of these I knit, 5 pair. I gifted a pair to each of my girls. The teachers of my girls each got a pair. And I have these ones left over. This is our Hearth colorway, non-superwash merino. This is also non-superwash merino in our Fern colorway. And this is again the same color as I'm wearing, barley. And I'm thinking I need to rip this out, just the top part, because this one is really nice and comfy at the top. And this one is just a little bit too tight. I can move my fingers around very easily, but I feel a little bit of restraint when my hand is in there. So this one has just been sitting around without the ends woven in, waiting for me to pick it out and re-knit it and bind off. That's it. It probably will take me 5 minutes. I don't know why it's sitting around. However, on the train and thought of finishing up and working on my stash, I pulled out 3 balls of yarn from socks that I knit last year. So each of these mittens takes about 40, somewhere between 38 and 42 grams. And so I weighed all of these balls of yarn and they're all over 50. So it works perfect. This is Movie Night. It's a colorway that we came out with last fall. I knit my dad a pair of socks with this yarn and the sock set that we had in the shop at the time. For his birthday, he got those and he seemed like he really loved them, so I'm happy about that. And he's requested some brighter socks with yellows and just more poppy colors in them. So that would be fun to have a look through and maybe even do a stash bust for a pair of socks for him. Then I pulled out Summer of 69. This is a colorway that we had last summer. I also knit a pair of socks out of these. This is on our gold Stellina base. This was our plump merino, which I knit most of my socks in that base. And then this gorgeous pastel-y colorway is the third pair of mitts that I'm going to cast on. I'm not sure which one I'll begin with. I'm thinking either this one or this one. And the reason for casting these on is no reason, just fun, just something to knit on. And I feel like Elodie's friends, there are a few in particular who would really treasure a pair of fingerless mitts as a birthday gift. And I think it could be a really nice just thing to knit on. I really enjoy knitting, but I feel like I have a lot of knitted things. I have a lot of socks. I have a pair of fingerless mittens. I have a hat that I like. I could always use a few more sweaters that I really love, but I do love knitting. I always want to keep my hands moving. And for me, I am a 99%. I was going to say 100%, but you guys, this sweater gives me so much joy. I realize that this is my favorite sweater I have ever knit. I love the fit of this sweater. I love the feel of the yarn. I love the colors that I chose. All of that aside, I realize that I am a process knitter. And while I do love this, I love knitting so much more than what I have when I'm finished. And so for me to knit fingerless mittens for a friend or a teacher or socks for a teacher who I know is going to love them, even though I might not have a strong emotional connection with them, but I know that there's someone who is really taking care of my children, or I know that there's someone who is a wonderful friend to my children, I have no problem at all gifting them something as special as mittens or socks when I also think quite strongly that they're going to really, really love receiving what I'm making for them. I only have one sock to share with you guys. Now, next time I will have more, so look forward to that. But right now, I was totally inspired by Kay from Crazy Sock Lady. She was knitting a pair of Regia Perfect socks, and I have had some Perfect yarn in my stash for quite a while. I think it's the only actual stash yarn that I have. I have this skein, and then I have a skein that's quite pinky. And I saw Kay knitting on hers, and I have been wanting to cast mine on pretty much ever since I got it, but I just haven't. Why? I don't know. And I really like the hard-wearing nature of Regia yarns. They're quite rustic feeling, but they are a superwash yarn. So they do have that superwash feel to them. But they're just so much fun. So I'm knitting this out of a 2mm needle, a size American 0. I cast on 64 stitches. And they're so pretty. They're so pretty. They're so much fun. And I'm enjoying knitting these. I thought originally that I would keep them for myself just because I love these colors up here so much. But once I realized that almost the entire foot is gray, like this grayish blue, I don't know. I wonder if my dad would love these socks. These might be a pair that he would love. Now, I don't know how sensitive his feet are. So I'm curious if this would be something that would bother him. They're very, very woolly, but I also feel like he would love these colors. So that's a thought. It just came to me now, but I think this could be a really good contender for a pair of socks for my dad. And I'm really enjoying knitting on these. I haven't knit a pair of stockinette socks in quite some time. And just the color change up on these, it is ridiculous. It makes this knit very, very addicting. The last and final thing that I'm knitting on is the Whizbee mittens. These are designed by Pia Kamabon. And I have just cast these on yesterday. So it was in the evening when my parents and Robert and I were all hanging out. Robert's my husband. The girls were already asleep. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to cast this on. It would be really nice. I'm using a 2mm needle, whoops, which has fallen out of this. And the first thing you have to do is a Latvian braid. Well, I've done a Latvian braid before. And I tried to knit it up and it looks hilarious. I know you can't even see. No, you can't even see. I did all 3 rounds of it. It's not a Latvian braid. It literally just looks like knitting and purling on the wrong side of the color work. So I need to look up a tutorial because I'm not going to sit and read through the pattern and try and figure it out. That is one of the awesome things about YouTube is tutorials for everything and anything you could want. So I'm definitely going to do that. Probably as soon as this is over. The reason why I'm knitting these is because every Advent, I know it is only April, almost May, but every Advent I knit or make each of the girls some sort of ornament. And Adodie's favorite color of ours is Fern, and Ruby's favorite color of ours is Jello. So I'm going to make each of them an ornament using our non-superwash fingering weight because I just love non-superwash for color work. I've done superwash colorwork sweaters like the one that I knit for my youngest, the Fairy Prairie Jumper with all of those flowers going across the front. But I prefer a non-superwash yarn. It just knits so beautifully, blocks beautifully, and I like the way it feels between my fingers so much. So I think these are small, cute, very fiddly. As I see, there is a teeny tiny thumb on this. And you guys, look how small in circumference this mitt is. That's the mitt. That is the circumference. When my mom saw me cast it on and start knitting on the first few rows, she was like, wow, that's going to be a very teeny tiny mitten. Yes, Mom, yes, it is. It's going to be very teeny tiny, but fun. And I know that they will love it. So I've done a lot of talking. I haven't done really any drinking of my coffee, which is now, let's see, room temperature, the story of my life. And I have not taken a bite of one of my cookies. Let's remedy that. Delicious. Probably not the best thing to do and eat when I'm going to be talking with you guys. I don't know if you can hear the birds, but they are singing. I have my door open down here, which I absolutely love, the fresh air coming in. And it is the weekend. The weekend is coming, which I am so looking forward to. Monday is off of school. I'm not working on Monday, which means we're going to be spending our weekend at a lot of sports games. We have a fun walk to do around the forest, and then we'll be spending all Monday at our bungalow. It is really, really coming along. The kitchen is almost finished, and I imagine, I'm really, really, really hoping, crossing my fingers or pressing my thumbs, as we say here in Germany, for good luck, we'll be able to be sleeping in our bungalow by June. That would be so fantastic. I'm enjoying being there so much. My parents helped so much with a lot of the yard work, pulling out a lot of weeds, planting some new flowers in. It's just coming along so beautifully that the thought of going there always excites me. And when I'm there, I'm always feeling so inspired. So I'm really looking forward to decorating and going for lots of walks through the forest, spending lots of time with Robert's parents, eating tasty meals, getting tons and tons of knitting in, and just being outside in the fresh air all day, every day. love it. Are you guys looking forward to summer? Do you guys have any late spring plans? What are you guys all knitting on? I know that it is almost May, but it's still, I feel, at least where we are, cool enough that sweater knitting is still very, very prevalent. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying knitting so much. I'm feeling so inspired, and I hope you guys are too. So I will see you guys all next time. Thank you for joining me. Bye.